You're listening to the Confidence Within podcast. If you are a successful professional entrepreneur who is nonetheless struggling with the fear of public speaking, then you are in the right place. This podcast is all about igniting your inner confidence, learning to show up with genuine authority and brilliance, and becoming the best version of yourself. I'm your host, Victoria Lesnyansky, and welcome to my show. Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Confidence Within podcast. It's my pleasure to introduce to you my guest, Landau Eugene Murphy Jr. And if the name sounds familiar to you, it's because Landau won America's Got Talent in 2011. And not just won, he won it by the biggest gap in the show's history. During his audition, he surprised the judges and the audience with his flawless rendition of I've Got You Under My Skin. And the rest was history. Since his win, Landau has performed and toured all over the world. Just in 2022 alone, he had over 70 shows, including performances in Dubai, the Tracy Morgan Entertainment Icon Awards, a residency at the Greenbrier Americas Resort, and a sold-out Christmas tour. Landau's book, From Washing Cars to Hollywood Stars, featuring his incredible underdog story, reached #1 on Amazon, and he's helped raise millions of dollars for charities. Landau and I met a couple of years ago at the Dream Night Talent Search singing competition in Texas. Landau was one of the judges, and my then 14-year-old son was a finalist. Landau was such an inspiration to all of the contestants with his stories, advice, and, of course, singing some of the Frank Sinatra's greatest hits. Then and there, I promised myself that as soon as I launch my Confidence Within podcast, I'll invite him to the show. And so here he is. Please welcome Landau Eugene Murphy Jr. Landau, hello, and thank you so much for being my guest on the Confidence Within podcast.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Seriously, it's such a pleasure. It's such a joy. I am so excited because you're not just a guy who won America's Got Talent and we're all, millions and millions of people watched you on TV. You're somebody I actually met in real life, and you are so sweet and so nice and so giving and so generous with your time and advice. I am very, very happy to bring you here and for my audience to hear your story.
I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
I wanted to start by asking you, did you really want to become a professional singer?
No, I think I was like every other little urban kid. I wanted to be a basketball player. The universe had a different thing for me. Singing and entertaining was basically something that was just in my life. It's something that me and my family always done. We partied. And I was always the center of attention as a little kid. They would bring me out, in my Spider-Man underoos and make me do the Michael Jackson. So it made me nervous then, but it still makes me nervous now. But it was just something that I was just used to doing, and as life goes on and you grow up, you start to become a young adolescent, a teenager, start trying to figure out what are you going to be in life. My parents split up when I was a kid, and, my life changed course like overnight. Like I'm born in West Virginia, West by God, Virginia. Don't you forget the by God. My parents split up in like 84, and my mom moved me from West Virginia to Detroit. And so I had to adapt to a whole new environment. Now, singing and dancing was a way for me to escape all the violence that was going on around me, drugs, things like that. Singing was my way to standing up to my biggest fears, like bullying and, just drugs and violence and crimes that was surrounding my neighborhood. And so I would sing these songs. I would sing any song, basically, R&B, soul, blues. It didn't matter, opera. But when I would sing like, Frank Sinatra, it made people laugh. It made people like smile. I've seen people cry from it. I've seen people get super excited or just really chuckle. I can't believe you sound like Frank Sinatra. Fly me to the moon. Let me play among the stars. Let me see what spring is like on Jupiter and Mars. In other words, hold my hand. In other words, baby, kiss me. On the basketball court when I was, getting bullied or anything, or if somebody was getting bullied, instead of trash talking, I figured out that I could sing my way into a foul call or out of it, like, and avoid that whole argument. Because I could dunk on you. When I dunked on you and I sung Fly Me to the Moon, it changed the environment. It changed everything, the outcome. Like the person that I dunked on was just laughing so hard because I was singing that song. And it just stopped a lot of arguments on the basketball court. So it just became a way of life for me. Just singing and dancing, entertaining, it's just always been in my life. I never wanted to be in gangs or, be associated with violence in any kind of way. So laughter was my thing. I love to dance and entertain people. I love to laugh. I love telling jokes. And they used to always tell me I should be on Def Comedy Jam and all these comedy shows they used to always throw at me. But I was still pursuing my basketball career, so I never even thought about it. But as I grew up, life hits you. I ended up being a car washer, and which I love to do. It was nothing to look down upon. But then I became homeless at one point, but even in that, I still had that music in my heart. I still had the smile on my face. I learned a lot while I was homeless. I learned to appreciate life. I learned to not value such worldly things like, a lot of jewelry or stuff like that, because you can't take it with you and it has no value. Once you buy it, the value dies.
It's probably hard to dream when you are that low. Like you
No,
feel like you're at the very bottom
it's so easy to dream. It's better to dream.
because there
Yes,
is no way to go but up.
there's no way to go but up. You're focused on like how am you going to get there, and the whole thought process is please don't send me to jail. It's like all I want to do is just get there without doing something wrong, and then you start thinking. And when you're by yourself and you're homeless and you really don't have a TV, you don't have nothing that's distracting you, your brain, it becomes that. Your brain becomes your television, your internet, your everything. And it consumes you. It's just like you can't stop thinking about your next big thing, your next meal, your next house, all of it. And so you start putting together these ideas on how you're going to get it. And like I said, when I was homeless, I started thinking like, okay, this basketball thing is working. I'm getting older and older. I have so many other talents and so many other blessings that God has given me. Which ones do I use to benefit me in life? You know what I'm saying? You start looking around like, okay, no one's going to help me, but I have all these gifts inside of me that I can do it on my own. I just need to know how to begin. How do you do it? This is before America's Got Talent. I ended up working for a construction company. That was my job, and I hated it, but at the same time I loved it because I was making a lot of money. But then I started this Blue Souls band because my little brother ended up getting out of prison. But while he was in prison, I was doing like this one man show thing for my community called the vaudeville shows, the weekend programs. These are programs that help less fortunate kids go to summer camp and get them school supplies and things like that. So I was doing this one man show where I was doing Frank Sinatra, doing Motown, the Temptations, Stevie Wonder, Marvin Gaye. I was doing it all. Like people were starting to take notice. I'm on the front of the newspaper all the time. A little town called Logan County, you know what I'm saying? So I'm always on the front of the newspaper. At the same time, my little brother has been locked up for street pharmaceuticals. And while he's locked up, I'm doing this, but I'm making a newspaper. So his cellmate was like from the same town. And he asked him, he's like, who's this guy on the front of the newspaper every week singing Motown and Frank Sinatra and all this stuff? He's like, that's my brother, Landau. He said, yeah, right. He said, yeah, I know him. When we get out, I'll introduce you. They ended up getting out early. When they got out, he told me to come to his house, he interviewed me. I sung like 2 or 3 songs for him. Boom. He asked me what I wanted. And I told him I wanted to, start a band or whatever. And he was like, don't worry about it. I'll put the band around you. What name do you want to call the band? And I told him Top Shelf. If I'm going to be a band, I want to be the best band ever. We're Top Shelf. So we start this band, everything's going. I'm still doing my one-on-one shows on the side and things like that. The band falls apart after 2 years. I go back to doing my one-man show. Lo and behold, while I'm away, somebody kicks my door in and steals all my clothes, all my furniture, all the remodeling stuff that I did, like putting them chandeliers, redoing the floors, the bathroom, everything. They just tore the house apart. And so I'm back to nothing. And I get really, really angry, like really mad. But then I had an epiphany. Well, God just walked in the room and was like, no, you have nothing to lose now and everything to gain. And I sit there and look around and start wiping my eyes. I was like, what are you talking about? Like, I'm 35 years old right now and I have nothing. Like, exactly. I got everything over here waiting on you. I'm sitting there in that room, and I remember the TV went to a commercial, and it was Howie Mandel when America's Got Talent. Are you the next one of America's Got Talent? Do you have what it takes to headline your own show in Vegas? Are you our next $1 million prize winner? I am talking to you. And I froze right there. I was like, wow, that's it. That's where I need to be. That's the bigger stage that I need. Throughout life, a lot of people kept telling me, go on Star Search, go on American Idol, do The Voice, do X Factor, do anything. But I just never believed in television. Like, I always thought it was just fake and they just making up stories. And they make a fool out of you. Now, and for the rest of your life, you just looked at as a fool.
Remember one guy, I'm
Yeah.
trying to remember his name. One guy auditioned in season 3, and he wasn't really good, and it was shown on TV, and people were making fun of
Yeah.
him. You do have that. You do have
Yeah.
that. You have that imposter syndrome. That what if I'm not good enough, and they actually do show it and make fun of me, right? Did you feel
Right.
that, or did you feel that no, I'm actually good enough where I have a chance?
I felt that I was good enough to have a chance without winning. That's what I felt. I still had the fear in the back of my mind of being picked on or bullied. Now you're getting bullied on a major scale. You got 16 plus million people watching you at once. Then you got the ridicule of all the comments afterwards. So it's just all those things are going through your mind, but you're like, I have nothing to lose. As long as I keep my pride intact and stay humble, nothing can defeat me. Because I'm down to nothing. Like, I don't have anything to lose. As long as I just don't make a fool out of myself. They can try to make a fool out of me, but it's gonna backfire on you. Because I'm so humble, I'm so broke down. I mean, who's gonna laugh at me right now? And that's how I had to look at it. And when I went on TV, it changed my whole life. Just sticking that gum in my pocket.
I watched it this afternoon before we jumped on the Zoom call. I actually watched it again. And I just couldn't believe it. Here you are walking in front of literally millions and millions of people. You are in front of those judges, in front of the whole audience. You're clearly nervous because you're laughing and they're like, what are you laughing about? And you're like, oh, well, and then you're chewing gum on top of that. I'm thinking, oh my gosh.
Yeah, but see, a lot
Oh.
of people they didn't understand why I was chewing gum. Only person who knew that was me, and it was because I had a partial in my mouth, so I had a fake tooth. I was in Detroit playing basketball, and I go up to dunk, and this guy gets so nervous he just turns his body, and my foot catches his shoulder, and I flip straight over him, land on the concrete, bust my teeth out. I actually watched it like pop out of my mouth and just tink, tink, tink over into the grass. I was like, oh my God. So when that happened, it was just like, oh my God. So I ended up getting it fixed, but they gave me a partial. They pulled out the root, gave me this partial, but they had these clamps. They used to clamp on the back of my teeth back here, and it was scratching the enamel off my teeth. So I broke the clamps out. Didn't think nothing of it. I stick it in my mouth and walk around, but sometimes I couldn't say certain words. If I said certain word, it would make the tooth fall out of my mouth. I would be talking to girls or just strangers or anybody, and I'd be like, "Yeah, you want to go down this way, and then you turn." And when I hit that T word, it was ting.
Oh no.
That tooth will fall out, and I would have to pick it up and dust it off, act like nothing happened, and keep on talking to you, like as if it didn't happen. But when I went on television, I realized, there's a possibility that this tooth could come out on my way, or fly me to the moon, or I get a kick out of you. It was just like, God. So it was just like, oh my God, I gotta figure out a way to keep this tooth in my mouth. I like gum, so that won't change my vocals or nothing. And I was thinking if I put like something else in there, or like glue, it would change my vocal cords or something. It just something freaky would happen. So I was like, I'll just use Big Red. So I would chew Big Red and make it nice and soft and sticky, and then stick it in there and make it just hold it in my mouth. But once I came out on stage, I seen Howie Mandel and the whole audience. I just started chewing the gum, like, because I was just like so nervous. I was so nervous. And then they called me out for it. So I just stuck it in my pocket and proceeded with what I was going to do. And it changed my whole life.
I didn't know this. I actually didn't know. I thought you
Yeah.
just forgot to spit it out. You just forgot to spit out the gum and walked on stage chewing gum.
Yeah. At the same time, I was thinking of spitting it out. I remember there was a garbage can right there. And I looked at that garbage can. I was just like, okay, before I go out, I'll spit this gum out. But then I'm still thinking, like, what about my tooth? So you're like trapped in this, should I do it? Should I not? But Nick Cannon pats me on the back and I go straight out. I forget about spitting it out. I forget about it even holding my tooth. I just start chewing.
So you were under double pressure. You had one pressure from just being a contestant and millions of people and judges and audience, and then you have the other pressure from actually having the tooth
and then you got the pressure. You have the pressure of starting on time. Mm-hmm. You have the pressure of remembering the words. And then you have the pressure of you being the very last person to audition. Like I've been standing in this building all day and I'm the last person to audition besides the Smogy brothers. I mean, the only reason they were after me is because they had dirt bikes. But it's like 9:30, 10 o'clock at night and I'm the last person to audition. I've been there all day.
So what were you doing to calm your nerves? Like all day you hear people and you hear some talented people singing or doing things. How did you calm your nerves? Just, try not to get that imposter syndrome hit you hard.
I think I had some headphones. I was listening to like a lot of, hip hop back then, just encouraging hip hop songs, like Triumph hip hop songs. And I would just watch everybody, practice. But see, I never rehearsed. I just sit and watched everything. I watched how they ran the cameras. I watched why they cut to a commercial break. I watched TV being made. And I love that part of it. So it blocked me out of the whole competition. I never even thought of it as a competition. I was like, okay, I'm just part of a TV show. Let's go out here and do my best part, And when a lot of people thought of it as a competition, I think that's where people get thrown off at. I mean, you got to realize you are a part of a TV show right now. That's it. And all you got to do is do your best when it's your time to shine. And not think about the competition because there really is no competition. You do what you do best. They do what they do best. We're all good. If you really look down, you really look into it, we're all good. You know what I'm saying? So that's why when I went on a show, I never thought of it as competition. These people around me that's supposed to be kids, they don't even exist. I'm about to go right into this and then I'm going to make a career out of it, whether I win the show or not. This is it because now I got 10 plus 16 million viewers watching me. You can't make a living off of that. There's something wrong with you. So it was just like, okay, I'm gonna go in here and I'm just gonna do what I've normally been doing for people out here on the street, people on the playground. I'm gonna make these people laugh the same way I made the thugs laugh.
So how did you feel when, that moment where you're on stage and you're talking to the judges and then the next thing they say is get your gum out? Did you really feel that may be the end, that they may kick you out? Or did you feel that's just part of the show and that's okay? You put it in your pocket and you continue. Did it kind of throw you off?
No, I realized it was my mistake. Right in that moment, I was like, oh yeah, really? You want me to take it out? And I just took it out and stuck it in my pocket. And I remember looking over at Nick Cannon because he was just standing there and I was just like, okay, start the track. Because I had already spoke. I already spoke to the audience. I had already spoke to Howie Mandel, Sharon Osbourne, and Piers Morgan. So it's just like I'm standing on stage and they asking me like a million questions, and the more that I'm talking, I could see Piers Morgan getting more like, this is bloody awful. It was just like, you could tell it was something that he hated. And it was slowly like showing itself as I kept talking. It's like either he hated my accent or he couldn't understand me at all.
That could be the case.
Right, you know, and then I had the gum in my mouth. So he was just like, huh? Are you chewing gum? And I was like, oh, yeah, yeah. You want me to take it out? He was like, I wouldn't do that if I were you. And I just took it out, stuck it in my pocket. I looked over at Nick and I was like, go hit the track because he's about to X me. He's about to hit this buzzer. I could tell, but I think it broke the ice in a weird way. It broke the ice. It calmed everybody down and it got everybody to normal.
And it made you memorable. But when you
Yeah.
started, like the track started, you started singing, did you look at the judges to see their reaction? Did you see their
No,
faces like completely changing? Because we see it on TV.
no, I was floating at that moment because it's like you want to. They give you like 90 seconds, but you don't start at the track the way that it would normally start on the record. So I went straight to I Would Sacrifice. So it goes, but I would sacrifice anything, come what might, for the sake of having you near, in spite of the warning voice that comes in the night and repeats how it yells in my ear. So I started at that part. You gotta listen for it. So they don't give you a cue. They don't give you ear monitors. There's no rehearsal. It's just like here, track has started. You better figure out where it is. And the audience is still like rumbling and laughing, and so I can't really hear what's going on. But I heard certain one. I would sacrifice, you know. I could barely hear any of it, but for some reason I started right on the right time. And I just kept singing and singing, and it was like everybody disappeared. It was like I was in that place by myself at that moment. Those first 15 words, I didn't see anybody. And then it was like I saw myself like doing it. And it's at the same time I'm outside of myself, like, go. You can do it. But at the same time, there's the other side of me. We're going, come on, man, you're going to screw this up, bro. What are you doing? You're going to make a fool out of yourself with television. Are you serious, man? Come on, man. You know, you got all these things like at a million miles a second going through your head. Where's the lyric? What's the next line? Did I sing that line right? You done sung that line. You're thinking about that line. Like, did I skip a verse? But you still got to keep singing. You still got to keep performing. So it's like wake up. You're trying to wake up in the middle of your performance. Wake up. But then when you wake up, it's shocking because you come back to reality like, whoa, yeah, this is happening. And then boom. Like when I hit that last note, I remember being so scared of that last note. Under my skin. When I hit that note, I remember like everything like came out of me up through my hand into that microphone. And I was shaking. I was like so scared. I just remember being so terrified. And I hit that last note and then I kind of like shook it off like this is it. And when I looked down to the judges and the audience, and everybody was standing on their feet and screaming like at the top of their lungs, I was just like, whoa. And I was like, and no one called me ugly. No one picked on me. Nobody bullied me. And this is what I've been missing this whole time, listening to people just call me this and call me that, telling me I'm not going to be this, telling me I'm not going to do that. And I could have came and got this a long time ago. I could have got this a long time ago if my self-esteem wasn't so low. So that's when I learned right at that moment. I was like, self-esteem is worse than a lot of things on this planet. If you have it directing you in the wrong way, you miss out on so many opportunities. And the people who give you that self-esteem is the closest people around you. The ones who tell you, oh, that's a nice dress. Oh man, I like those shoes. But when they say, oh, that's an ugly dress, you do not look good in that dress. And then you're starting to question yourself, how your shape looks or how you feel inside. You don't even know what to think. You don't know how to act.
Yeah.
And I missed out on so many things in life because of that.
Yeah.
And I promised myself right after that I would never do that again. I would never like. I remember sitting in class as a young student, just scared to raise my hand because I didn't want to be called ugly. For this answer that I'm trying to figure out, but I was scared to raise my hand because there was these bully girls over here that was like, put your hand down, you ugly. You know what I'm saying? It was like it would just come at you in any way. You know what I'm saying? So I just to stay away from it, I just sit there. And I would figure out my schoolwork on my own without asking my teachers anything.
This is so unfair, and it happens to everyone. It's exactly how you said, people around us who they either help us or they bring us down. And the
Yeah,
problem is that, yes, when somebody tells you, hey, Landau, you are so talented, you remember it only for a little bit. But when
yeah.
somebody says, oh, you're ugly, oh, you're stupid, that stays with you,
And
right? It
sticks like glue.
stays with you. And what it does to your inner confidence,
Yeah,
it's just crazy. It completely sticks with you through the rest of your life.
right.
It shows up in so many ways. For you to actually be able to put it all aside for that one moment on stage, not let that self-doubt win over, because you did hear that voice in your head saying that, what are you doing? You don't belong.
I was battling it the whole time I'm on stage. It's like all those things go through your mind like the whole time. But I was able to do it through the grace of God and because of my past. It was like I've missed out on so much. I can't let this one pass by. And God's given me all of these blessings for a reason. He didn't give me all these talents for no reason. He didn't give me all these talents to make money. I think he gave me all these talents to bless the world and to inspire people. And that's what I've just been doing with it since, being on that show. But it took me to step out there and fight those biggest fears one on one, just battling with my little self-esteem bully. I'm battle with my little fear bully over here. And then I'm gonna take this, bottle it up, sit it on the shelf, and look at it like, oh. And then when I need to pull it out, I can pull it out for these kids and be like, look, this is the ugly thing that kept me back for so long. For so long. Do not let this little gremlin in your life, pass it on. You want to pay it forward. And so
Yeah.
that's what I've been doing since, went on that show. But yeah, it's a big outer body experience at that time when you're on stage. But once you snap back to reality, you're like, wow, this is happening. Let's go. Let's finish strong. And when I did it, I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I just did that. But this is what I've been doing. So why not make a life out of it? And this is what I love to do. So why not make a life out of it? So then I realized that robbery was a blessing. It was not just a blessing for the people who got my things, but it was also a blessing for me for those things to be moved out of my way. You got to take the good that comes with, sometimes it comes with bad.
Right. You don't know
Sometimes
where the
bad
lesson
is good.
is.
Right. You just got to sit and figure out where the lesson is. And if you overreact or jump the gun, you can make the wrong decision real fast.
How did your life change after you won America's Got Talent?
Oh, tremendously. I got new relatives, new uncles, cousins, sisters, brothers, friends. I got friends that said we went to school together and I ain't never went to school. So it's a lot of people that just came out of everywhere. The good thing, the really, really good thing about it, the change is, I get to travel more. I'm on the road doing what I love to do, actually love to do. Still makes me nervous to this day, but I think that's the love that I have for it. It's just the adrenaline rush. And then, I'm earning a living for it. And so I'm able to take, money and help my family out, help out friends, pay it forward, do different charities and things like that. And I do a whole annual toy drive every year, Landau's Kids Joy Toy Drive.
Yeah, I know. I actually joined last year.
Yeah, yeah. So I got an attic right now, just like half full of toys. We give out a bunch of them, but after, New Year's, we just stop and we just keep stocking them up. So next year when people send in more stuff, the stock goes up. We ship a whole of them up, a bunch of them out. Because I'm also doing my Christmas tour while I'm delivering these gifts. My assistant would go out to these different hospitals. And it's fun, man. It's just it feels so good to give back, more than you receive anything. But it's just been amazing. I mean, I've been traveling the world. I've been to Shanghai, China. I've been to Germany. And then I just did a whole expo thing in Dubai. And I sung on the Elon Musk US Pavilion stage. And they had a replica of Elon Musk Rocket One on my stage. This thing was huge. I mean, like huge. It looked like a real rocket, but it was just a replica of the rocket. And I did that in Dubai, and I got a whole lot of fans from over there now. And it's just a wonderful experience to be able to travel the world and earn a living doing what you love to do, and also be able to pay it forward.
You're so wonderful because, like, really, you're busy with your career. You're busy doing so many things. You travel so much. You have tours all the time. But as you said, you are giving back to the community all the time. You have your toy drives. You work with charities. You are, if I'm not mistaken, you are on the board of a children's foundation, right?
Yes, Children Home Society.
Yeah, yeah. So how important it is for you to give back to the kids? Because I think you work with kids most of the time. Is it
Yes.
something that because you felt like it would have been great if there was a person like that when you were little in your childhood?
Oh, of course. I mean, I looked up to Michael Jackson, Michael Jordan. I've never met these guys, but I've never got the opportunity to shake their hand and tell them how much they inspired me. I've never got that opportunity. So I just never want to deprive anybody of that opportunity to speak to me. I just want to treat people the way that I want to be treated. That's the bottom line. It's the easiest thing in life is just to be who you are. I don't understand why people try to compromise that by trying to be hard or put on this persona of this hard person or this big person or this rich person or this. I don't get it. Just be who you are. It's the easiest thing you can do. You can never go wrong being yourself. You can't even lie being yourself.
This
You
is
can't
seriously
tell a
the
lie.
best advice.
It's the easiest thing on the planet. Imagine if everybody on the planet treated people the way that they want to be treated. What person do you know that wants to be treated bad? But if everybody treated everybody the way they want to be treated, this world would be a better place. And that's what I do with my career. I don't ever put myself on a pedestal. I'm the first person in the building, the last person to leave. I sign every autograph, I take every picture. If they buy my tickets or if they support me, then I got to do everything in my power to support them because
Yeah,
it goes both ways. Without me, they don't have good music. Without them loving my music, I don't have a career.
right.
So it goes both ways. We all got to be treated like we want to be treated. We should all support each other's dreams and endeavors. So you got to just make every day above ground the best day ever. Every day, the best day ever. As soon as you wake up, you make somebody smile, you make somebody laugh, and that's your way of being a blessing to others and paying it forward. It has to be money, it doesn't have to be even food or shelter, just a nice line of encouragement. Anything to make anything positive for somebody else's day is great.
You are a beautiful, beautiful person, Landau. Seriously. You have such a big heart. And looking back at your journey, like it's been so tough in the beginning. And beginning was 35 years. It was so tough. And you kept your heart intact and open. You know what I mean? Like you didn't allow all that cruelty and bad environment and things that happened around you and to you and to people who were close to you. You didn't let that make you into somebody who doesn't feel. And I just have one last question for you. So, because my podcast is all about confidence within, having gone through what you've gone through, having this beautiful journey with massive ups and downs and turns and zigzags, what advice would you give my audience as far as confidence to believe in yourself and to go after your dreams no matter where you are?
First of all, you have to believe in yourself. The second big thing is finding your niche. What are you good at and comfortable at that you can actually do to earn money? and just take care of your friends and family and just never give up. No matter what somebody tells you, just keep going. Don't stop. And here's another inspiring story is that as a little young kid, like I said, I had so many obstacles just trying to go to school, with all the gangs and violence around me. So I dropped out of school. I dropped out of school in like 10th grade. And it's been over 20 something years. And it always bothered me. And I remember a lot of people say, you're going to regret dropping out of school. And I'm like, whatever. Because I knew I was able to get any job that I wanted just by talking, sitting down and really talking to the owner or talking to the person in charge. I could have a conversation with them to make them want to hire me. But in the back of my mind, I always said, man, I never graduated high school. But it always bothered me. So during the pandemic, I'm sitting around, and I've been touring for 10 years straight. Really hadn't had time to sit back and smell the roses. The pandemic hit me like a blessing in disguise because now you can't travel. You're stuck in the house, can't go anywhere. You're just sitting around, and it's time to think again. So I just sit around. I was like, well, I can get one of the biggest accolades that's been missing in my life. And so I went back to high school. I ended up passing my high school equivalency. So right now, I am the ambassador for adult education in the state of West Virginia and across America, basically. If you look on the back of your Kroger's receipts, you'll see me. After you buy your groceries, you'll see a picture of me like this. My slogan is, it's never too late to graduate. It's never too late. Because I realized that the only reason I didn't graduate because of that fear again of raising my hand. And I didn't go back to school because of the fear of being the oldest person in the classroom of kids. It's all those little things that just kept holding me back. And so I was like, forget that. I don't care about what people think about it. I don't care what I'm doing this for me. And now I go into these high schools and I encourage kids to stay in school.
Thank you, Landau. You have been wonderful. I really, really appreciate you coming in. I really appreciate you sharing your story, sharing your wisdom, sharing your heart, and inspiring people.
You're so welcome. You're so welcome.
I really hope you enjoyed our conversation. Landau is such an inspiration, such a talent, and at the same time, one of the nicest, most humble men you'll ever meet. Make sure to check out his website and follow him on social media. I have all the links in the show notes. And while I can't coach you to sing like Landau, I can help you with finding your unshakable inner confidence, overcoming the fear of public speaking, and becoming the confident, compelling, and captivating speaker. If you would like to learn more, head over to www.brilliantspeakersacademy.com and apply for my program. I'll see you next week. Bye for now.